So the way we decided to organize this was around kind of the four critical questions to drive business growth. And it starts with the simple question of like, where do we grow, right? And the way we approach this is through a framework-based lens where we think about all the different places you could grow, right? And I think this is an area where people sometimes get locked into kind of a rut and they're thinking like, oh, this is where the growth has to come from. And so we're trying to open the aperture a little bit and show you like, no, these are the different ways you can grow that maybe you haven't thought about. And here's how to tackle growth and goals in the right way. We move from that into who are you growing with, right? Which is an analysis of all the different segments you could go after. How do we think about those more strategically? And then how do we apply kind of like the latest in technology to help make our efforts even more effective?
And what I like about this too is like, if you think of the where and who, the way I like to think of it is we see a lot of people who start in one lane. And they're like, how are you going to get to where you want to go? Well, the same way everyone else is going.
Right.
It's a one lane highway. And we add lanes. We start saying, well, there's this other path. And what I love it to see is our participants going, I hadn't even thought about that.
Right. I've been thinking, I'm on the same highway as everybody else and I'm stuck in traffic.
Exactly.
And you're like, well, there's another road right over here that no one's taking, right?
So, sometimes it's a shortcut. Sometimes it's a longer road, but you're going to actually get there faster nonetheless.
I love that. The next part is kind of where you bring a lot of your background in. It's like, why are they not buying, right? Kind of getting to this idea of like, you've identified this wonderful group of customers, what's keeping them? What's the impediment, right? And this is where you're bringing in not only your behavioral science background, but thinking about like, what makes us better? And where do I live on this benefit ladder between like very kind of tactical functional benefits and higher order benefits?
Yeah, and what I see, and you've seen it too, but there's so much of brands want to talk about what they can do. So we see a lot of brand-centric thinking.
Right.
And my background says, let's start with the consumer and let's ask questions about what are the barriers? Why aren't they buying? And so we leverage what's been going on in behavioral science over the last few years to help people understand and have that fresh perspective to then answer questions better, know their consumer or customer better, and once again, achieve growth.
Yeah. And then the last part, that's kind of like, I would say almost the tactical part of this piece is like, when and where do you connect, right? When, where, how do you connect? And that's where we start to get into different frameworks that allow us to take a more methodical, maybe a more planned approach to our tactics. And so we'll think about like really practical applications of journey mapping, like not a 70-day, $200,000 exercise, but like, how can I do something super practical tomorrow that's going to allow me to make smarter tactical decisions?